Now we're gonna transition into something a little more personal and a little more cheesy, but also interesting. And we just want to talk about relationships in general. We are not just referring to romantic relationships. We're just like trying to address all type of relationships. So one of the things that I wanted to ask Christy is what keeps relationships going in general for you, like with your parents and with your friends.
I think the biggest part of making a relationship work is communication. You have to communicate because, there's always that factor of like people don't understand, and you just have to address it and then hear from like both sides and then come to a compromise. I think that's kind of like, for me, what keeps my relationships going.
I agree with you, and I feel that actually communication might be even bigger than trust, because I feel relationships is something that you have to have with everyone that is around you, and even though there might have not been some trust, I think if you're able to communicate and get closer to someone and just talk face to face with someone, it makes things just like easier, and that's how you build the trust, and how your relationships can get better.
Yeah.
I think especially with your friends and things like that, as long as you communicate.
Right. And I also think like compatibility is a huge thing too, because it can't just be a one person thing. It has to be from both sides. Two people have to really work in order to make a relationship work. It just doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that when the communication part has been like threatened for me before is being when, for example, now I have friends back at home, and it's kind of hard for us to keep talking how we used to talk before. When you're in different like countries and places, is definitely like tests you and makes you like just go beyond to keep that relationship going, and really think that if you want to put yourself into it, because otherwise it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
So the next question is, what can make relationships difficult?
Of course, when it comes to like misunderstandings, and I think sometimes when you tell people the same things over and over and it just does not stick in their head.
Exactly. I feel the same way too. I feel sometimes that when someone is not interested in what I have to say,
right,
that makes me very frustrated. Like I wish that people like value what I have to say as well.
Yeah.
Because even if you said it so many times, like you should at least be respectful and try to give other people, the chance to be listened.
Right.
And I know what you mean by when you have to say so many times the same thing and it doesn't get through. I know.
Like I just get so irritated when that happens, because I'm like, I don't want to be mean on my part and be like nagging them all the time, but at the same time it's kind of like I'm trying to get this for you to understand, but I guess it just kind of depends on how patient you can be and how, I guess, like how much you value that relationship.
Yeah. For example, I have a question. When you are frustrated, do you usually tell people right away, like, how do you feel, or you just like go away?
Oh, definitely. I am not a person to just tell you, like, I'm not a straightforward person. I normally either like write it out or I just keep it to myself. And yeah, like, I don't know why. I just feel like for me, if I tell somebody, like, I feel like I say it in a rude way. Like, if somebody was doing something wrong, like, I don't want to accuse them. I just, like, want to tell them how I feel, But, people can tell me
whatever they want to say.
Yeah, whatever they want to say. Like, I don't care. But it's just for my part, yeah.
for example, when I'm frustrated, I actually don't confront things like right away either. Like I just like go away.
Yeah.
And I don't write it down, but I just take a long time to just cool down
Process
and
it.
just like, and I, no matter what, I always like say things very rude too.
Yeah, me too.
And I don't write, I don't write anything, but it's just like hard to tell people things because they think that I'm like kind of rude too. And
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Yeah, like I don't want them to think that I hate them or anything. It's just, I guess, kind of my way of communicating my frustrations.
Yeah. But I think it's good that you're able to take if someone tells you something, you're able to take it.
Yeah.
That's good, because that's actually hard for me too.
Really?
When someone tells me, oh yeah, you're late, or well, no, you're late, but something else, it's
Yeah.
hard. Like I'm not like okay, no, it takes a while, but I've been learning to be more like be better than and just be positive about what people say,
Right.
because it helps you to grow.
Yeah.
So.
I always take into consideration, like, this person is telling me for a reason because they want to make things work, or like they're telling me because, I don't ever want to upset anybody, so it's like it's good for them to tell me, but for me, I just feel like it's just, I'd rather say nothing.
Yeah.
I'd rather just let it go over time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. I can let certain things go, but when something is like really bad, you have to tell them somehow.
Yeah, that's the only time I'll be like, we gotta talk.
Yeah, that's when you have to work.
Right.
Yeah. Alrighty, so the last question for this segment is, what type of relationships are the most challenging to keep? I mean, for me, I think the relationship with my parents, I feel, because it's when you have friends, you can just like forget about your friends, but when something happens, but with your parents and your family, like if a conflict arises or something, you are gonna have to encounter that person many times in your life, and sometimes it's hard to to be a little more mindful and patient and all of that, because I think the people that we love the most, we're harder on them.
Yeah.
So I wish it could be better at that.
Yeah, I can say the same too. Especially for me, I feel like my parents are super strict, and so it's always like we're clashing all the time. Like they'll say something and I just take that into anger, and I'm like, they don't understand me. But at the same time, it's kind of like what I think to them. Like, I'm trying to tell you stuff, but all you do is you just think of like how you grew up and like what your circumstances were, and the one thing that I don't like what my parents say all the time is that like, oh, like I've been through this, I know you. And it's kind of like, I feel like that was such a long time ago. Things change, generations change,
and every person is different.
Yeah, every person is different. So I just feel like it's unfair of like my parents to say that, but at the same time I know it's kind of like out of their best interest for me. Yeah
I think that sometimes when you grow up a little bit, you kind of start understanding your parents a little more, but still it is difficult when you don't agree with them. Like we would just like clash over something over and over, and sometimes someone has to step back and say, I'm saying this because I love you, and that's the only way of it.